At this very moment, behind the scenes of the NFL, there is a quiet movement for a national champion receiver that is being treated as the best trade of the draft. If the secret plan comes to fruition, our offense will reach a level that no one is expecting. I will tell you how the entire negotiation process will unfold exclusively, but beware, not everything is a party. I gained access to a shocking projection that outlines the worst possible scenario for the Commanders in the first round. If this happens, friends, the disaster will be total, and I will show you detail by detail why we need to remain on high alert. And to close it out with a flourish, you will see what Zach Ertz just declared after that devastating injury. It's an emotional request that landed like a bomb in the locker room, and you need to know what this means for the roster right now. I will deliver all of this to you in moments. But first, hit the like button now on the video. It's just a click, but for our channel, it's what keeps the flame of the Commanders burning here on YouTube. Ready? Then let's get straight to the point because time is running out. The Washington Commanders have only 6 picks in this year's NFL Draft, following the acquisition of left tackle Laramie Tunsil, who was selected for the Pro Bowl last season. As a fan who follows every move, I know that these limited picks need to be used wisely. General Manager Adam Peters and his team will have several options available when the season starts in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Although it is clear that they will add players to address certain needs, such as on defense or at the wide receiver position, their performance in the preseason so far has not given us a very clear idea of when they plan to prioritize these specific areas. There has been much talk about what the Commanders will do when it's their turn to pick, with the 7th overall pick in the first round, but they also seem to be studying some players available on the second day of the draft closely. In fact, Washington hosted wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr., a national champion and former Indiana Hoosiers player, for a visit last weekend. According to sources, former Indiana wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr. is visiting the Commanders. Cooper has made 5 visits so far, with 4 more scheduled after the game against Washington. The ideal target for the second day of the draft would be to find a player like Cooper. One of the most intriguing and fastest rising players in this year's draft class, Omar Cooper Jr. is a physical receiver with great potential. He consistently and impressively dominates at the catch point. Cooper's career has been slow and steady, with a production increase as he progressed. From a training camp player to a legitimate All-American candidate before helping the Hoosiers reach and win the university's first national college football championship in history. Cooper's best season occurred during the Hoosiers' undefeated 16-0 campaign in 2025, when he made 69 receptions for 937 yards and 13 touchdowns, being the primary target for Fernando Mendoza. That performance earned Cooper honors as a second-team All-American and second-team All-Big Ten. Additionally, he tied the university record for touchdown receptions in a single game, with 4 against Indiana State. At just 1.83 m and 90 kg, Cooper doesn't have the towering height we're used to when it comes to an elite wide receiver, but he compensates for this with a sturdy game and strength at the catch point. He makes competitive receptions to save his quarterback, demonstrates acceleration, and gains yards after the catch. The fact that he has blossomed late can be seen as a factor explaining why he didn't produce more early in his college career. Still, in the new era of college sports with NIL and the transfer portal, Indiana didn't exactly have the ideal quarterback to throw the ball to Cooper until Mendoza arrives in 2025. Beyond this concern, scouts pointed out other weaknesses, including the need to improve his route tree. His agility and change of direction is not exactly what is needed for the next professional level. He will need to work on that to stand out from the NFL's elite cornerbacks. Consistency has also been a point of criticism for Cooper, although he has significantly reduced that problem last season. Being consistent and reliable is what truly defines a professional football player. Despite the minor concerns surrounding him, Cooper still stands out as a high-value receiver, who fits perfectly into the second day of the NFL Draft. It doesn't seem likely that the player known for his red zone threat will reach the Commanders at the 71st pick. But if General Manager Adam Peters decides to trade his 7th overall pick in the first round for a second-round pick, for example, the possibility of drafting Cooper could become more real. And now, brace yourself for the worst-case scenario. You will discover how the draft could unfold disastrously for the Commanders if they are not careful. This year's NFL Draft represents both an opportunity and a risk for the Washington Commanders front office. With the 7th overall pick, it would be ideal for General Manager Adam Peters and head coach Dan Quinn to secure an elite prospect. But the worst-case scenario is not choosing the wrong player. It's how the draft will unfold, even before it's their turn. The first nightmare revolves around the possibility of no top defensive talent being available. After a season in which the defense had significant struggles, the Commanders' most urgent needs remain at edge rusher, cornerback, and linebacker positions. This year's class features several ideal defenders, such as Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles from Ohio State, in addition to cornerback Mansour Delane from LSU. But if teams drafting ahead of Washington, like the Jets, Titans, and Raiders, choose to bolster their defenses, the Commanders may have to completely change their strategy. Instead of securing an important defensive piece, they may be forced to prioritize offense, leaving their biggest weaknesses unresolved. Additionally, the organization significantly lacks draft capital, with only 6 total picks and a significant gap between the 7th pick and their next in the 3rd round. Washington could ideally trade back in the draft and acquire more picks. But that depends on market demand. With only one quarterback considered a top 10 talent, there may not be enough urgency for teams to move up in the draft and negotiate with the Commanders. If that's the case, Washington may find itself without viable trade partners. Keeping the 7th pick may yield a quality player, but it won't resolve the depth issues on the roster. There's also the temptation factor that could affect decisions. Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love is a name that has been associated with the Commanders in many mock drafts. Pairing him with quarterback Jaden Daniels could be appealing to the organization. But using a high-level draft pick on a running back, especially with greater needs in other positions, represents a risk for the franchise in a considerable way. Without improvements on the offensive line or pressure on the opposing quarterback, the signing of Love may seem like a flashy move, but it won't necessarily translate into wins in the regular season. Washington needs a versatile defender to keep up with the offensive power of the NFC East. If a division rival or another team moves up in the draft to select a player that Washington has their eye on, it represents a double blow. Losing a key piece while strengthening a direct adversary, it all comes down to the draft board. The success of the Commanders in this draft won't only depend on who they choose, but also on how the board unfolds before their pick. And now, to close with some emotion, you will understand Zach Ertz's heartfelt request after his devastating ACL injury. Zach Ertz has consistently spent the last 2 seasons with the Washington Commanders. But the veteran tight end, who turned 35 last November, is still recovering from the torn anterior cruciate ligament. This injury was suffered on December 7th during a crucial game. Ertz is a free agent this offseason, but wants to make it clear that he is not ready to retire yet. "I don't want this to be my last play," Ertz said about the injury that caused him to hurt himself during a recent conversation with Jeff McClain of the Philadelphia Inquirer. Even talking to people now, and they say this from the heart. "Wow, that injury was tough. When people think of my career in this last play, I don't want it to be the starting topic of the conversation." Ertz continued emotionally. "So, for me, it's just doing everything I can to get back to my best, because I felt I was playing really well before I got hurt." ESPN statistics show that Ertz finished the 2025 regular season in 2nd place. On the Commanders team with 50 receptions, 72 passes thrown in his direction, and 4 touchdowns. He was 3rd on the team with 504 receiving yards consistently. These numbers suggest that he could contribute to a team aiming for the title if he can regain that form next fall. Zach Ertz understands the reality of the current situation clearly. "I'm coming in with my eyes wide open," Ertz said about the possibility of signing with a team. "I'm not coming in with many expectations. If I were a team, they probably wouldn't expect me, due to the injury and my age, to be the starter in week 1. But I believe that if I can fully recover, I will still be the same player I was before the injury." According to McClain, the Commanders have not ruled out the possibility of renewing Ertz's contract, probably with a deal favorable to the team in financial terms. Although Ertz has played for the Philadelphia Eagles since the 2013 NFL Draft, until being traded to the Arizona Cardinals in October 2021, the Eagles will likely seek a different receiver in the next draft instead of bringing Ertz back. "I don't want to retire with any regrets," Ertz added with conviction. If I had tried a little harder, if I had dedicated myself a little more, if I had studied a little more, I fully committed to this. So if I can't play again, I could retire knowing that, hey, I gave it my all, but I still want to play. And I think the time for reflection is when it's all officially over, but I don't think that moment is now. It remains to be seen if at least one team agrees that Ertz still has gas left in the tank. Zach Ertz's determination to return to professional football is admirable and inspiring for everyone. He doesn't want his career to be defined by an injury, but rather by the hard work and dedication he has shown over the years. His positive mindset is exactly what a professional athlete needs to recover from a serious injury. The Commanders have the opportunity to bring Ertz back on a deal that works for both sides. He knows David Blau's offensive system and has an established relationship with Jaden Daniels. This continuity could be valuable for the offense in 2026. Ertz's story is a reminder that age and injuries do not fully define a player. If he can fully recover, he could still be a valuable asset for any team that signs him. His experience and leadership would also benefit younger tight ends. As a Commanders fan, I hope Ertz can fully recover and return to play in 2026. His passion for the game is evident in his words and actions. He deserves the opportunity to end his career the way he wants, not the way an injury forced him to. Zach Ertz's resilience and determination are qualities that all Commanders should admire and try to emulate. He is an example of how not to give up, even when things get tough. I sincerely hope he can return to the field and continue his legendary career. So, fan, after discovering that the Commanders are eyeing Omar Cooper Jr., a national champion wide receiver who could be a steal on the second day of the draft, understanding the worst-case scenario for the Commanders in the first round if the draft unfolds disastrously, and hearing about Zach Ertz's poignant request not to let an injury define the end of his career, which of these situations makes you more hopeful or concerned? Do you believe the Commanders should really bring Zach Ertz back on a favorable deal, or would it be smarter to invest in a younger tight end who could contribute for more years? And more importantly, do you trust that Adam Peters will make the right draft choices to avoid the worst-case scenario, or are we doomed to watch our rivals strengthen while we fall behind? Leave your opinion in the comments. I want to know what you think about the future of the Washington Commanders.